It's always nice to report on good news, and I got two good pieces of news here with the guy who's with me today, Michael Ditmore. Michael has developed a very well-meaning app, an app that improves the world, but not only does it improve the world, but it's also just won him $40,000. Michael, welcome to TechCrunch TV.
Thank you, Andrew.
So, Michael, you've developed this Just Science app. What is it, and how did it pocket you $40,000?
Well, Just Science is the very first application that Novim, our nonprofit at UC Santa Barbara, has developed. And it's to demonstrate the results of an 18-month study we did on global surface temperature. For the first time ever, we were able to go back and use actual written and documented records of surface temperature going back to 1800 and put it all together and statistically integrate it up until the present to get an idea of what the planet's actually doing. And Just Science is the application available for free on the Apple Store that will show you month by month since 1800 what the planet's been doing.
So you mean this is the app that closes the argument about global warming?
It should go a long way towards doing it. Yes, the planet is warming.
How much, Michael?
0.6 of a degree centigrade in the last 50 years, averaged against a number that's taken from 1950 to 1980 as the average. So it's not spectacular, but it is substantial.
But Michael, to develop this app, what did you have, like 1,000 researchers? How did you pull this thing off?
We first put together, as Novim always does on its studies, a study.
Sorry to interrupt. Novim is a research group at UC Santa Barbara that you head up, right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
It is a nonprofit based at Santa Barbara. We typically assemble between 10 and 14 member scientific teams to look at given global contentious problems like surface temperature, like global warming. This team was put together at Berkeley, run by a very eminent physicist at Berkeley named Dr. Richard Muller, and we had even one Nobel Prize winner in that team, but mostly statistical people who could integrate this very complex data. And we were able to put that together in about 18 months, and it cost about $1 million to do.
But it's a remarkable achievement. So you have an app which, if I want to know how hot the Earth was in August 1899, this app will tell me?
Yes, and it'll actually show you which stations were reporting around the globe that temperature.
So what did you do? Access all the data that was available?
We took the existing databases at NASA, NOAA, the CRU in England, and going back as far as Benjamin Franklin's actual written temperature.
It's quite a remarkable achievement. What is next for you in terms of your team?
The next thing we'd like to do is add ocean surface temperatures to the data, and that's being done right now under the existing grant. And then we would like to make this thing live. What's being represented in the app right now is a visual representation of a terabyte of data, roughly. We would like to make it interactive so that researchers can go in and pick up little snippets of data from any area of the study and look at it.
Michael, is Just Science free?
It is free in this current form, yes.
Is there a business model here? Because you may be at a nonprofit, but a lot of our audience are entrepreneurs. Where are the entrepreneurial opportunities in these kind of apps?
In being able, I think, to make this type of data available to researchers, if you work out a monetizing model for that, which you can do if it's not too expensive, you can encourage people to go in and dig down and drill down into the data.
Does the app economy or the latest technology, does it enable us then to put to bed these contentious issues like global warming? Does it enable us to sort these things out once and for all?
I wish it did, Andrew. I think it makes a step in that direction, or takes a step in that direction. The problem is people on the extremes are always going to believe what they believe. What we're trying to do is bring the science to bear on this so that you can at least understand what the known facts are. I don't think we're going to change minds on the extremes, but perhaps we can give people a basis for which to discuss this rationally instead of turning everything into a religion, as we say.
It's so nice to have an organization like the American Clean Skies Foundation who put the cash up and organized the event. Are they public funded too?
They are a nonprofit, to the best of my knowledge. They're funded from a number of sources, including industry sources.
And was this a major competition in Southern California?
It was a major competition nationally. We were actually brought back to Washington, D.C. I understand there were almost 100 nominees originally for the prize in 3 different areas. And it was done a little bit like the Academy Awards. They opened the envelope and they said the winner is.
What are you going to do with the cash? I hope you're not going to spend it.
We've already reinvested it back into moving the app forward.
So, as you say, you want to make the app more interactive. What will that mean in terms of users? How will that affect the users of this app?
Well, it's somewhat interactive now in that you can zoom in, zoom out, scale back and forth. What we would like to do is give you direct access to the data, the raw data itself, the normalized, as we say, data, the data that's been taken and stuck together, and also all of the algorithms involved, so that if scientists might disagree with our approach, they would be free to go in and change how the application was actually run. That's one of our goals.
Michael, you've got an audience of technologists. What were the challenges in terms of building an app like this? What are the hurdles that still need to be overcome to enable scientists like yourself to put together these incredibly useful apps?
Well, first of all, the biggest challenge is assembling the teams to do the work. And
technology can't solve that, can it? Or it can, perhaps?
Well, it can in that we do almost everything online. We coordinate all of our efforts with Ansana, for instance, online. We meet periodically, but almost everything is done via Skype or conference calling. So the technology helps us tremendously that way. But the most daunting thing, as anyone can probably tell you, is raising the money to do this. And we're funded entirely by foundations and individuals.
Well, you may have some wealthy VCs or entrepreneurs out there. Why should they give you some more cash?
Because I think we're very unique in that we are agnostic in terms of policy. We don't advocate a position. We do just the science.
So you just provide the data?
We just provide the data, hopefully, to citizens and policymakers who will then use that to make decisions.
But aren't there biases in terms of how what you decide to research? The very fact that you decided to research global warming might speak of a certain kind of bias.
Certainly. I mean, the way that we decide on our topics is we read the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times for several weeks in a row, and if the story appears probably 2 or 3 times, we'll consider that for a topic. We love things that are extremely controversial.
So give me a couple of other examples of projects that you'd like to run that are really controversial. What about figuring out if God exists? Is there an app for that?
I'd love to look at that if there was a scientific approach to it. I can't think of the science behind it, but we are probably at the extreme of science looking at right now public employee pension funds and the question of, are they sustainable in their current form? And if not, what form should they take? That's a big statistical, mathematical
So that's a
problem.
data issue rather than a scientific one?
Correct. It's a statistical issue.
What about life on other planets?
Could be done. We would like to solve the problems of this planet first. We're looking at hydraulic fracturing, for instance.
What about the debt, the U.S. debt?
That we'll tackle right after we do Social Security.
And if someone was to write you a check, some nice, wealthy guy who believed in you said, okay, I'm going to write you a check for $1 million, what would you do with it in terms of research right now?
Right now, we would probably look at 3 or 4 major projects that we're considering. It takes us about $250,000 to $500,000 to do a project. The temperature one was a multi-year one, and that's why it was $1 million. In those cases, we had a number of people write us $250,000 checks. But $1 million, we would probably begin to look at extending the temperature study, looking at things like how does a state like Alaska sustain itself, given what its resources are. It's very energy dependent, for instance. Could the UC system, every campus in the state, for instance, could it be energy self-sustaining?
Do you have to be public interest? Could you take money, or does by taking money, would that actually mean that you're biased?
No, we take money as far as we can align it. We try and come across the spectrum as far as people who might be interested. For instance, it's no secret, it's public knowledge, on the temperature study, we were financed by people as diverse as Bill Gates and the Koch brothers.
Well, Michael Ditmore, the Executive Director of Novim and the winner of the American Clean Skies Foundation $40,000 award for the best app, Just Science. Congratulations, really a remarkable achievement, remarkable product. I think everyone should try it out. And I hope you'll come back again soon onto TechCrunch TV and tell me about your latest app. Michael, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Andrew. Thank you.